So how's things with Judas going? I mean, are you stressed? What's the feeling right now?
I've gotten much better with stress. Like at this time during Infinite, I was like, um, I sort of learned to trust myself a little bit in the sense that I've done this enough times where even if problems sometimes seem insurmountable, I just sort of like, well, I guess we've solved insurmountable problems before. I'm surrounded by a really good, smart group of people. And every day, more and more, they're surprising me by like things that I was like really stuck on. Somebody will come along and say, this just happened last night. We were kind of stuck on something, and my narrative director Drew Mitchell sent me something, and I was just like, oh, he just solved that problem. Amazing. Um, and that's happening more and more because the team is quite experienced now, especially experienced working on Judas. We've been working on it for such a long time. So I'm really enjoying it. All look, I'm not going to kid you. Making games is stressful, especially when you're trying to do something that you haven't exactly done before in terms of some of the way we're approaching the game in terms of how the narrative works, how the um, modular stuff that I've talked about, which your audience may not be familiar with. It's we're building this game in a very different way than we built our previous games with the
The
for
narrative
the
Legos. Yeah.
yeah, the narrative Lego stuff. That's all about how do we make the game more responsive to the actions of the gamer? And it's a hard problem. It's a really hard problem. And so, I started thinking about it like 10 years ago and took about 5 years of R&D to get around some of it.
But that's the
The team
fun
has
part, isn't it? That 5 year period was that isn't that the fun part where you get to knuckle down? Or not
I
really.
like this part, honestly. I like the part where the game's really starting to come together and it's
Right.
expressing itself, put it in front of people, and they can say, "Oh, that's amazing. Oh, that's not so amazing." And we do a ton of testing. We never do testing at the beginning, right? So we never do a test like we never do like get a group of people together 10 years ago and say, "Hey, would you like to play a game about a girl on a spaceship who
Yeah.
does, you know, who's destroyed the whole society because she was brutalized and by it, and now she's trying to figure out whether that was the right thing, and blah blah blah. And these robots, no, we don't do that. We make something, and then when it's in shape where people can actually play the game and play it at least somewhat as gamers, even though some parts of it are really rough, that's we just been testing, getting feedback, and we find that the that's an incredibly useful process because every time we test and we make changes, the feedback gets better and better, and that's a very rational way to make a game rather than just sort of going like this, and hoping for the best. Um, so I'm really enjoying it, and we're it's I've got to spend so much time immersed in the story of the world. It's a bigger game than we've made before, or substantially bigger game. So
Wow.
the level of detail and characters and stories is sort of novelistic in terms of they have a lot of games that are like visual novels, but they're very text based. This game, in terms of its breadth, in terms of the number of characters, these because we have many speaking characters, many players many you're interacting with a whole bunch of real living characters. It's much more of an ensemble piece than we've done before,
Right.
and usually have the audio log ensembles before. Now we have like active like characters talking to you, speaking role characters, and they're all present for a lot of them are present for the entire game. So it's been it's just amazing to be able to have that time to think about a world and break out all the details
Mhm.
and really sort of have the time to develop those story concepts.
Is this all mocap, by the way, these performances?
Uh, no, well, so there's mocap and there's performance capture, right? So like Last of Us uses performance capture. They're literally recording the audio and the movement at the same time. We do a weird hybrid approach. So
Okay.
the actors don't do performance capture, but we put a camera on them. It's just a
Oh,
regular
yeah,
2D
yeah,
as a reference for the animators. But we also do Seth Kendall, who runs our animation. Um, is not only a great animator, we have this little mocap suit that he can wear at home. And
yeah.
he is
He loves
a
it?
great he's a great performer. Like he's a
Yeah.
really good mocap performer. So he does some of it himself, but that's all we really do. The animators wear these suits. sometimes to get the baseline performance, but some of it's hand keyed,
Why don't
especially
you get in
whenever
it, Ken? Why don't you get in the suit?
I those are a little form fitting for me, I think. And also, working with Gary on the score is a very different score than BioShock One. And so Jim is amazing. Now he's my guy who he writes a ton of songs for the thing. We has a ton of original songs. Um,
So he's back for
and
Judas.
yeah, he's back for Judas.
Awesome. Great to hear. How does the music work in terms of the narrative? I don't know how much you can say. The narrative Legos and the music. How does that all work? Is it everything scripted to certain dialogue?
There are scripted cues, but there's also
Yeah.
I don't want to spill too much now because we
Yeah.
haven't talked much about the music, and I like people to encounter it a little first. But yes, it is because the game is non-linear and because the player can end up in a lot of different situations that could
Mm.
be, put together by this modular system, the music reacts accordingly.
Did I hear Troy in that trailer?
Yeah, Troy's playing the character
Yeah,
in the
Tom.
trailer.
Tom.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the sort of sheriffy looking guy, and we got a great cast. Yeah, Troy's back, and I get to work with him
So
again.
you can't get rid of him for every game now.
I don't know if it's I can't get rid of him or he can get rid of me. I'm not sure how that comes out. Yeah, but I've known him for a long time now, and he's been very patient on this project because this project's taken a long time, and we've sort of gone back and forth on a bunch of stuff. But yeah, I'm fortunate enough that I can get to call Troy Baker or whoever and be like, "Hey, do you want to be in the game?" And he doesn't laugh in my face.
Well,